Yes, the issue of VAT is what we want to talk about. Value added tax. Value added tax in Nigeria has been carried out by the federal government. That is the central government that have been undertaking this huge tax. And value added tax is generated from various states. And whatever the state generates, they remit to the federal government. Meanwhile, the states don't even have the power to collect the taxes. It is collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, an agency of the federal government. So when you look at all this, you begin to wonder. We said we are practicing democracy, American system of democracy. In America, we have government at the state and at the federal level. So the state government have some form of independence. They have their own security, they have their own various bodies that work for them. But in Nigeria, the independence, the freedom the state enjoys is just too little compared to what they should have. Now imagine a state government funding the security it does not own, a security it does not control, yet is spending billions of naira to fund it on a monthly basis. So when you look at all this, you discover why Nigeria's economy is not working, why Nigeria's economy is where it is. Now, we want to look at the issue of VAT holistically. VAT is a very important aspect of the government because that is where most of the revenues we have in Nigeria is generated from. Over 1.5 trillion was generated as VAT in 2020. So imagine such an amount. So now I came across article in the media during the week where some persons were like suggesting that agricultural products are not vatable, and agriculture being a major mainstay of the northern states, how will they cope? Excuses from different quarters started coming in, because the governor of Rivers State and Lagos State made a move to start collecting VAT by themselves, and the court gave them the order, gave them the ruling to start collecting taxes. And if you look at those states, they are losing a lot of money. Imagine Lagos generates roughly 50 billion in a year. 50 billion in a month. And what they get from that 50 billion is just maybe 10 billion naira, between 10 to 15 billion naira, which is it is over 80%. The government collects over 80% of the taxes the Lagos State generates. The same thing the Rivers State and all other states. And then there are some states who feel that financially they must be dependent on others. Those states, what they generate is giving back to them. So in when you look at it, you discover that this does not follow the principles of fairness in the federal system. It doesn't follow the principles of fairness. Now, what really develops a country is not the resources, the landed resources therein. Because if you are to value the development of a country by the resources therein, then Israel shouldn't be a world power. Israel shouldn't be a nuclear power. Nigeria has everything, yet it still have some of the worst negative economic indices you can think of in the world. So how do we continue like this? 70% of the population of Nigeria are youths, and they are youths below the age of 30 years. So for you to maintain such a growing population, you need a strong, robust economy. And you cannot have a strong, robust economy without avenues to generate taxes. Taxes is a major financier of a government at the federal and at the state levels. So now, the article was talking about agricultural products coming from the north to the south are not vatable. They don't collect VAT because the law exempted agricultural products from taxes. And then when you look at this issue holistically, you begin to wonder, when you go to the supermarket to buy a tin of Bonvita or a tin of milk, don't they pay taxes? Milk, the tin of milk you buy in the supermarket, are they not vatable? Okay, how about beer? Every bottle of beer you drink, 7.5% VAT is on it. Each time you buy even a bottle of Coke, even bottled water in the supermarket, you collect VAT. They collect VAT from the 7.5%. So agricultural products that are packaged, processed and packaged. When you go to the supermarket, majority of the things you buy in the supermarket are agricultural products. They are gotten from raw materials from agriculture. And all these things are vatable. So all these excuses, making people to see reason why you should remain dependent on other states is out of it, come of it. Nigeria cannot progress like that. Nigeria cannot move forward on these flimsy excuses. As a state, you need to sit down. What can we do to generate taxes? What can we do to attract development? It's all about attraction. And then imagine in Kano State, you are destroying trucks of beer or alcoholic product. You are destroying them, forgetting that each bottle sold is generating taxes from which you are sharing as allocation. So all these things has to stop. Now, when you look at agricultural products are so many things. If you package, if you produce yogurt is an agricultural product. Well, all these yogurt you sell in the supermarket, they are all vatable. So rather than complain, you need to sit down and think of what to do. Think of how you can process your God-given endowment material, process them, and they will be ready for VAT. So these are some of the things you need to do. And then another question somebody asked was, from states to states, how do you manage to collect all these output tax? And then there was an instance where a company has about 20 branches and the headquarters is in Lagos. Those are still not a problem. The tax office is a commission, and that commission has the obligation to sit down and harmonize. If there is a company based in Lagos and the company has about 20 branches in other states, what you need to do as the tax office is to sit down and harmonize. If the taxes they are generating is 100 million, for instance, that 100 million can be harmonized. You look at what each of the 20 branches are generating. Then from there, you can work out a sharing formula so that each month, whatever is generated as VAT goes to all the 20 branches. So all these can be handled. We should not take this as a reason to truncate the effort of making this VAT issue to become a state affair rather than a federal government affair. The federal government has been highly irresponsible to the extent that over 11,800 companies in Nigeria are at moribund states. 11,800 companies are not functional. Majority are federal companies, federal government companies. Look at, for instance, Ajakuta Steel, built at over $4.8 billion 40 years ago, is at moribund states. All the subsidiaries, the taxes, the development that was supposed to spread as a result of the company, all have been lost. So taxpayers' money were sunk in a company for over 40 years, at moribund state. So the federal government have been highly irresponsible, and this is one of the things the court must look at. The court doesn't need to be political on this issue of value added tax. Lagos State generates, and what they get from what they generate is just maybe 20 to 25%. That is cheating. It doesn't follow the principles of fairness. It's cheating. So, as a state, as a federal government, you need to define your own rules. We need legislation that will stop this unfairness that is going on in our country. The issue of VAT should be a state affair. It should be a state affair. States should collect VAT. Imagine in Kogi State, I've heard a lot of people complain about half salary, complain about non-payment of salary. Some even say for 20-something years, for 20-something months, they didn't collect salary. And when you look at it, it is not that Kogi State is poor. No, Kogi is not poor. Kogi is about the second biggest state in Nigeria in terms of net worth of installed properties. The properties installed in Kogi is second in the whole 36 states of the federation. It's valued at about $22 billion. With the presence of Ajakuta, the presence of Obajana, the presence of the ceramic companies and all that. If all these companies are generating VAT to Kogi State can build a tourist attraction. Look at the Confluence. The Confluence is about the dirtiest place you can go to in Nigeria. The dirtiest. Very dirty. When I was in Abuja, I had a couple of discussions with some persons who were telling me, look, I don't like going to Kogi State. I said, what happened? He said, no, Kogi State is just too dirty for my liking. Why? Because they pass through the river Niger and they see a lot of refuse dump and all that. That Confluence, if Kogi State is allowed to generate taxes and the taxes are judiciously utilized, that Confluence can serve as attraction. It can be a tourist site, but you can't possibly make it a tourist site if you don't develop it. So, and what brings the development is taxes. Imagine Kogi collecting taxes from the companies in Itobe, the Alo, the Obajana, the Ajakutas, and what have you. You are generating taxes from all these places. In no time, you will get there. Kogi has the capacity to make over 100 billion naira from taxes on a monthly basis. If the taxes, if autonomy is given to state to collect taxes. So look at all these things and you begin to imagine why we want to remain where we are. So states that are not generating enough value-added tax need to invest. And then we complain about corruption. What really is this corruption? Corruption is not a major problem. If Britain wasn't corrupt, could Britain have been able to colonize you? No. Britain could not have been able to colonize Nigeria if they were not corrupt. But all that they took away from Nigeria were taken to their country. They didn't build the country with it. They didn't build Nigeria with what they took away. They took it to their country to build their country. But what is Nigeria doing? You plug huge funds from the coffers of government and take it abroad. Take it to Dubai to develop Dubai. And over 10 years, the taxes you generate to Dubai is more than the money you have plucked from Nigeria. So in any case, it is not really the corruption that develops Nigeria. It is the movement of the resources away from the country that underdevelops Nigeria. So when you look at all these things, the central government have been highly irresponsible. And that irresponsibility of the central government has to stop. And the court has the power to stop it. The Supreme Court, the appeal court, the customary court, the high court, or whatever jurisdiction you are operating, this issue of value-added tax has to be a state affair. Then if the government decides to start collecting wealth tax, wealth tax in France, it is earning a huge amount of money for the government. So the Nigerian government has a very good inequality system to impose property tax or wealth tax. Imagine a a a senator earning 36 million naira a month. 36 million naira a month. That is more than what the United States president earns, which is $400,000. So when you look at it in a year, a senator earns roughly 1.3 to $1.4 million a year. And while a US president just earns $400,000. So that is almost times 4 of what a US president earns. So that is a good avenue for you to impose wealth tax on the ballers, those that are balling, those that are the big boys, those that are looting the country dry. Impose property tax, impose wealth tax on them. It could be 1% or whichever way you try to look at it. So this issue of value added tax has to be a state affair, and the courts must obey the ruling in Rivers State, holding states from generating value added tax will not go well with the country. So this issue is going to generate a lot of, it's going to overheat the polity if the court doesn't act as it should be. The federal government has been irresponsible, and the irresponsibility of the federal government has to be taken good care of. If not, it will all come to nothing. So thank you very much.